Okay, folks, welcome to a new world of Photoshop. I'm not into um, saying things that are tremendous unless they're truly tremendous. And what's happening with Photoshop is a major game changer. I've heard it likened to in version 3 when they came out with layers in Photoshop, which just changed the world of imaging. This is changing it again that much or more. So what we're talking about is Photoshop AI, their generative AI capabilities, which is built into their beta version. And so if you're using Photoshop, you're not seeing it. You have to download their beta version, and you can have both of them on your computer, but only one will run at a time. So to get the beta version, if you go to Creative Cloud and the apps, usually it looks like this. If you click on the top of the apps, down here on the left, click on beta apps, and then Photoshop beta. And I already have it up, downloaded. Usually it'll say try. You don't have to pay anything. You don't have to be part of the subscription. You can do this at will. And it'll download a new version of Photoshop, which the icon is white instead of black. So the icon on your desktop will be a white icon. And when you move your cursor over, it'll say Photoshop beta rather than your traditional Photoshop 2023. Okay, so it looks the same, but it has some major new power to it. And there are several things that it will do. The AI is artificial intelligence. And so what they have done is they've trained it to look at other photos and use other photos that they have and use pieces of those photos to build new things in your photo. So there are many other programs out there doing kind of similar things, but totally different, where you can type in, show me a street scene of Havana with people walking around, and it will build that, but you have no control over it. And all of those other programs are using photos that they have scoured the internet for and stolen from all of us and used to build their platform. Adobe, thankfully, is not doing that. They are only using photos that they have licensed through Adobe Stock. Now, there are people who are crying that are part of Adobe Stock saying we're not getting paid extra, and that's a concern. At some point, I'm guessing when this comes out for real, they'll address that further. Maybe not, because that was part of the rules when you signed up for sending pictures to Adobe Stock. But at least they're not just stealing them from everybody, wherever they can find it on the web. So what it'll do is basically 4 main things. It will generate objects. So it'll make, you can just tell it to make objects, and I'll show you here in a bit. You can generate backgrounds, you can extend images, and you can remove objects. So all of those things combined create for a ton of power. So this is just a street scene from Havana, one of my photos. And I'm going to just grab the lasso tool and just select an area where I want something to be, because I think right in there should be, what do we want to put there? How about dogs running to the right? So we have with the latest version of Photoshop, we have your contextual toolbox right here. So now there's one in there that says generative fill. You click on generative fill, and it asks you, what would you like to generate? So I'm going to say dogs running to the right. And I'm going to click on generate, and it'll take about 20 seconds. So I should have prepared a whole bunch of 20-second jokes so you'd be laughing while we're watching Photoshop work, but we're just gonna have to watch it work. Hey, that one's running to the left. So it has created the dog, and you can see it has dropped a shadow which is what just stuns the bejesus out of me, is one of the things that stuns me. It creates a shadow similar to the lighting that the others have. In this case, it's not quite as harsh, but it fills in the areas around it. It blends it right in. So it will give you 3 variations. So over here on the right, you can choose that one. You can choose those dogs. They're looking cute. There's some other ones. Wow. You'll see quite often, and as I zoom in on this, you'll see even more. It does some really weird things once in a while, and especially with legs. So this dog is, yeah. So if we want to help out Adobe and Photoshop, if we hit the thumbs up, I hit the wrong spot there. Hit the thumbs up or the thumbs down when we have one that we like or don't like, it helps them realize, oh, that one really stunk. So if we click the thumbs down, it gives them feedback. And if you want to give them a lot more feedback, you can click on the tell us more and type out it had 3 legs instead of 4, or it had 6 legs, or something like that. Back over here on the right, the 3 dots, if we don't like that, we can just delete it. Okay, that one's okay. This one's okay. If we want to have more selections, we click the generate button again, and it's going to create 3 more options for us. So what it's doing during this time is it's actually going to their servers on the internet and putting all this together and then downloading it to your computer. Okay. That one's kind of nice. We got some weird things happening back there. For me, the first one's the good one. So, that's just stunning for me. And this bar, you can move around wherever you want it, so it's out of your way. I still have a lasso tool. Let's just select this area here and say, click the generative fill, and let's make a water puddle here. And I'm just going to click on generate and watch the progress bar move. So the question, is this a different program than Photoshop? It is a different version of Photoshop. So it's a newer version. Where the hell did that stuff come from? It's a newer version of Photoshop. So this is at some point when they come out with it, with the full version. So there's the water puddle. Let's see what the third one looks like. I like that one even better. Look at that reflection. There's the guy's pants. There's the dog, the light, the sky. It does a tremendous job making water and reflections. It is just crazy what you do with that. And again, if you don't like it, you can delete it. You can tell them that was a pretty poor result. If they'll want more, no, I'm not gonna tell you more, but I'm gonna generate another set of them just to see what it does. Who knows what that is? They like having this water pool there. That one's pretty similar to the other one. I mean, even you got it's mind-boggling to me, just mind-boggling. So not only will it generate, so what it does then is it creates a new layer in your layers palette, and it has a layer mask. It actually creates a mask. So you can adjust that mask however you like. And if you don't want to have this much of it showing, you can alter the mask. I'm not going to get into masking tonight, but you can see the new layers have a new icon on them that is called the generative layer. So what layers have been generated by the AI and which ones are real. If you have multiple layers going.
Lauren, on the layers, they're not to get into too much detail, but though those layers appear like regular layers, you can apply adjustment layers, blending modes, and all those things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you can click on the eyeball to turn them off. If you don't want them at all, you just drag it to the trash can. So let's trash that one. We'll leave the dog. Yeah, so they're regular layers. You can add to the mask, you can subtract from the mask, you can use the mask for other things too. So I'm gonna highlight this guy. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Somebody have a question? Okay, no. So I'm just gonna select this guy in the truck. And in my generative fill palette, I'm gonna not type anything. I'm just gonna leave that blank and I'm gonna click on generate. And it is going to look at the rest of the photo, use its AI powers, and eliminate what we're looking at. Which you can kind of do. Hey, it threw a new car in there that time. See what else it did? Threw some people in. Okay, so if we don't like that, let's tell it to do it again.
Loren, I'm sorry, I missed the first few minutes. Where did the substitutions come from?
They're from artificial intelligence.
Oh, so they just, okay, so okay, that's really wild.
Pure AI, yes. Okay. We'll see what else it created for us down that street. Ooh, I don't know what the hell that thing is.
But these are not copies of anything, are they? I mean, it's not like an image that it found on the web.
Yes, it is, but they're not images they found on the web. They're images they got from Adobe stock. So they're images they have licensed that they are using to train the AI on what to do.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. Okay, that's pretty wild. So again, we can turn that off and bring him back. But look how it created the storefront. The shadows are right back there. I'll show you another picture in a minute that I worked on for hours. Do I have it? Let me see if I've got that one up next. Oop, come on. Hang on. Cancel. Don't close any of them on me here. Where's my other guy? Well, let's come back. Okay, another street scene from. So I love this shot. I love this guy leaning on the car, the eyeball up here, but I didn't like the people back here. And I literally spent, I can't tell you how many hours deleting this guy, then rebuilding the street and rebuilding the walls. And then this came out and I highlighted him and highlighted, just dragging around there, just said, go ahead and generate, don't have to type anything in at all. And wait and see what happens. Hey, put another guy in there for me. I don't want a guy. There. Recreated my street scene, recreated the light going across there, which is one of the things that I had just a hell of a time doing manually. Recreated trees down in here, the building over here. So again, this is what we had before. Rebuilt the street for me in 20 seconds. Just, oops, sorry about that. Just really cleaned up that photo. So since it's in beta, there are some things that just don't work right. So you can't use the results for commercial purposes. So I can't sell them. And we'll talk later about if I would. So can't sell them. I'll show you some other things that are funky in the beta, but you know, it's a beta, which means it's going to get better.
You can't sell the images because it's using images from Adobe stock, or you can't sell the images at all.
Right now, at all,
because you use the AI.
because they have not, I don't know why, because they said so. That's why.
As good an
No.
answer as any.
It's free. There are rumors out there that they're going to charge extra for the AI version of Photoshop. So people who don't want to make money with it can not pay for it. There are definitely things that just flat out don't work right.
Mhm.
And I'll show you some later. But the possibilities are just mind-boggling. So this is one of the more famous waterfalls in Iceland, and there's always a crowd there, right? And so if I just highlight them, again, just using my lasso tool, you can use any selection tool, doesn't have to be the lasso. And let's just do them. And as much as that as I can, I'm gonna click on my generative fill, click generate, don't have to type anything in again. It's gonna look at that. And let's see what results we get. Gasp. I hear the gasp. This changes how I shoot. This just flat out changes how I shoot. I work like a maniac to not get people in that shot. In fact, I don't if one group that I took there was a whole bunch of people up front, and my guys were all complaining about it. So I literally went up to about 75 people and told them that I had a very important photographer who needed 30 seconds for them to move. And everybody moved except one little kid who was from China and didn't speak English, and I couldn't get him to move. Turned out he had a red coat on and made the picture anyway. But to clear all those people out, you can't do it. Now I can do it. And when you look at this photo, you can't say that ain't real.
Mm.
You can't
You
say it
could
ain't
sell
real.
that one. It looks like you shot it.
Yeah. So the difference for me between this and the AI programs where you're totally generating something from nothing, where you type in waterfalls with snow and ice and a rainbow, is you have no idea what that will look like. It just generates it. And is there any creativity in that? No. In this, you're using your photo as the base. There's a question on the chat. Can you add images that you own? No, at this point, you can't control what images are going in, but you can by doing multiple variations. If you don't like the result, you try one of the other variations. And if you don't like that result, you generate more. I mean, if you don't like that, you generate more, then you generate more, and it's going to look different every time. Just stupid things like, I just highlight an area here and tell it to generate and, put in some penguins. I know there's no penguins in
Iceland.
Iceland, but this is just going to create things that are not, can you believe it? No, you can't believe any photos. That's a big penguin. So you can also adjust the prompt up here. So if we put penguins walking to the right, let's try that and generate. So the difference between this and content aware is you have to have content for it to be aware of to put into that. So I could never use content aware to get rid of all these people. It wouldn't work because it doesn't have enough other content around to use that.
But what you just did, getting rid of those people, that's what I meant. That was like content aware.
It's
it
like
just kind of
content aware.
filled in.
But when I first started playing with it, it's like, well, I can do that using the content aware replacement things. And no, I can't. No, I can't. There's
Not a big
penguins.
section like that. Yeah, I get it.
There's some fun penguins. If you zoom in, you can see sometimes things are really pretty funky. Those penguins aren't bad. That one doesn't have a head. you know, so you can just circle that and type penguin head and it'll put a head on it. You know,
But I like that it put the shadow on the one on the far right. You can see its shadow.
the shadows always match whatever
Wow.
the light direction of your shot. That is one of the stunning things about it for me, is how it knows where the light's coming from. There's a lot of things that stun me about this. Does the resolution match your picture? Yep. Do the same copyright issues apply with the sky replacements? So yes, but no. So there have been lawsuits already about AI using photographers' photos to make the just generated AI. Nobody's won yet. None of the photographers have won. I sure hope they do soon. But Adobe is using all pictures that they have licensed to be able to use. So everything that these penguins are real photos that somebody took, that Adobe has licensed to use them. How much do they pay them? Maybe 2 cents, I don't know. But all the content that Photoshop is using is licensed, so there are no copyright issues. There have one of the interesting things about AI is the Copyright Office has determined that photographs created completely by AI are not copyrightable. But this would be, because the base image is mine, so I can copyright this image with penguins walking across a waterfall in Iceland. You know, I'm one of the few photographers that ever got a picture of penguins walking across Skagafoss. Maybe the only, but it ain't real. It ain't real. So I'll admit this is a photo I stole because I couldn't find a picture of mine that had somebody, can I mute myself? What do you mean by that? Am I talking too much or too excited? Tell me what you mean by that in the chat. So one of the problems we frequently have is reflection on glasses. So if I just select this area as carefully as I can, I wasn't too careful. Don't need to type in anything. Hit generate, watch it happen. Turn up my volume.
Oh, wow. That's
Okay.
amazing.
Changes the way I shoot. So again, you have, let me move the bar here so we can see this better. We have options, so you'll see it will look different in each option as I click around in it. So that one's, let's zoom in so we can see even better. I'm pixelating because this is a low res image, but you can see what's happening inside his eye there. It's trying to create that. Amazing. Amazing. So, you know, I keep thinking about how many pictures I've thrown away that I shouldn't have. I'm just stunned by how many pictures are savable now that weren't before. But again, at this point with the beta version, it ain't savable yet. So I don't know who this guy is, but I think he needs to, well, let's put a beret on him. So we can get the generative fill, type in red beret, click generate, see what kind of hat we can put on this cat. That one didn't work.
It's not a beret.
That's not a
Well,
beret.
It actually may work if you do a transform on it.
Well, so interestingly, what happens with the layers, if you have that layer selected and you move it around, in this case, you can see that it's taking part of his head too, and it is not transparent, so you can't really edit that out. You're better off just having it do it again. And so we can just turn that layer off. So a lot of it depends on what area you select. Let's try that red beret again. Does the metadata show AI inserts, deletions, or is it always discernible? Oh, there's my hats. What do we have? Oh, that one's kind of cute. It's out of the way. For some reason, they don't know what a beret is, but you get the idea. Again, it ain't perfect, but you can do some pretty weird things. We want to we'll just put a parrot on his shoulder, right? Let me tease and parrot.
One.
Well, it's got two now, so that's why it didn't like it. So you can see sometimes it'll tell you you can't do it. It doesn't know what you're talking about. Okay, so who's Alexis? Needs to be muted. I will do that. Hope there's not more than one Alexis, because I just muted one of them. Oh, there's the parrot. Looks like a parakeet. There. So now we've got a parrot sitting on his shoulder, right? So while we're here on this guy, let's change his background. So we just go to select subject. I could have done that down below too. Where am I? Select subject. Oops. Let me turn off the parrot. Let me turn off the other stuff. It'll be just more fun this way. Okay. Select subject. Yes, go ahead. Okay. So now I have the subject selected, but I want the background selected, but not the subject. So I can just hit this box down here that inverts the selection, and now it has selected the background, and I can tell it what do we want in the background? Snowy mountains and river. How about that? Let's see what kind of background we get with this cat. Does the metadata show AI inserts or deletions, or is it always indiscernible? Yes. So it shows you the layers that are AI, but nowhere else will it show you that AI has been used, which for me is a problem. Now that one didn't do a real good job of blending around his head. Crazy. It's just crazy. Okay, enough of him, whoever he is. We already did him. Okay, so another thing that we can do is extend images. And this is a parade I photographed here in Woodstock, and I wished I had made it a horizontal picture, and but it's vertical. So what I can do is I can go to the crop tool, change my crop. Let's make it a horizontal, give it some on both sides, and a little more on the right. That'll even it up. Okay, so now I'm going to hit enter or return. I'm just going to use the rectangle selection tool, and I'm going to select all of that side, and I'm going to overlap just a little bit into my picture. Now I'm going to hold down my shift key so I can select the other side. And so both sides are selected. And again, just a little bit into the photo. And now my generative fill, I'm just going to click it and tell it generate. And let's see what it does. So is this AI technology being used in some of the other PS tools, such as healing, cloning, patch tools? Not at this point. I'm sure they'll incorporate that. Holy smokes. This is kind of a weird face, but it put in all new buildings back here, put in stuff here, added the sidewalk. Look how these shadows are coming in from the side, from nothing. Just like the shadows that were in the original photo. So let's look at the original photo again. And we've got pig face going on over here. We got somebody walking away. So, you know, it does mess up a lot of things. But again, if I don't like the way that head looks, I can either tell it to put in a smiling face. And so it won't do things like, you can't tell it, make the head smaller or make the horse bigger. That's a smiley face. Oh, I like that. Okay, not a good prompt. Okay, let's just clear it and just tell it to generate whatever it wants. So you can't tell it to make it bigger. You have to give it definite terms of now it's a headless. It went headless on us. I thought it might do that. Yeah, it deleted the head. Okay, so let's try another one. Female head. Man, my typer is not working. Add a dog face, yeah. What is that? Okay, we're getting yeah. So again, when we zoom in on things like this, we see when it's creating a fake person, they really look fake, and that background is looking pretty clumsy. And again, it depends on what you're doing with this. If you're putting them on Instagram and it's going to be, you know, that big, looks okay. It looks okay.
Can you remove the generated person and leave the rest the way it is?
No, but we can come back down and see what other how it generated different. You can regenerate it. Let me turn that one off. So in that one, it didn't put a person there. So we didn't look at the different variations on that one. We only looked at the first variation. So you can't edit just one portion other than regenerating another, you know, redoing it. But, you know, in this case, I know that this parade was the whole street, so that one doesn't work for me. This one makes the street look full, but this doesn't work. So the easiest way would be just, okay, let's just delete this person. Tell it to delete the whole person and it'll put something else or nothing there. Oh, oof. Or a little person. Or a big person. So again, we can tell it to generate another, you know, we don't like those three, generate it, just hit generate again, and it will do it again. But I now have a horizontal picture where I started with a vertical. And I would never, ever try to do that with regular Photoshop. It would take, unless I had other photos to use, there's no way I can create that. No way to create that. So same thing here. Let's see what happens. So horses, I shot tight. Should have shot a little looser. So let's crop it. So there is a limit to how wide it will do that. And I think it's 1080 pixels. So again, I'm doing two things at once. So I'm using the rectangular tool to select it. I want to make sure I get into that, hold down my shift bar, my shift key, select this area. So now I've selected everything out here and just hit generate. So it only in high res will only do 1080 wide in any one selection. So if you that crazy? Now that leg looks funky. Let's look at another variation. So we got some funky happening under there. Woo! What happened back here? So, you know, I would probably pick this one and rework the back end. Oops, sorry about that. Rework the back end back here, because actually the front looks pretty good. I did this before and it put on like a English saddle on the back of the horse. And I had to tell it, no, don't use an English saddle, use a bridle or whatever the hell that is. But yeah, so we got some weird things happening back here. But we could go back in and tell it to do that. You know, again, that was my starting point. I didn't have the rest of the horses. And again, look how it's doing this, the light and the shadows. It's seeing that the light is coming from the left and creating a hard shadow to the right. And it's done that in the picture. It even highlights the bottoms of the legs where the shadows would be happening. It's crazy. Can you look at the stock images to decide what you want to use? No, is the answer to that right now. And how well does the generated pixel density match the original? As long as you don't try to generate more than 1080 wide, it will match. When you do go more than that, when you zoom in, you'll see it pixelating. But, you know, so we can, you know, this one I can't, just from looking at it, I'm guessing it's right in here. I've done some where I did too much and you can see a hard line where your original was and the, oops, let me turn this one off. So the original ended right about there. So I can, you know, pixel wise, I can't see anything weird there. Maybe just a little bit, but you can see the stirrup coming back here ends, or not a stirrup, rein coming back here suddenly ends. But you know, it's doing some amazing things for us. So again, this guy, I'd like to have a little bit more hat on top. And crop it. Select that white area, overlap just a little bit into the picture. Generative fill, generate. Don't tell it what to do. It knows what to do when it sees all that white. Build a hat for me. And look how perfectly the background matches. I've been just trying all kinds of crazy things. I wonder if I can open his eye. I don't know. Haven't ever tried this. Let's see what happens. I'm guessing that about the time I get to be an old, ooh, ooh, ooh. Uh-huh. Actually, that, you know, that one's so if I made my selection area a little bit smaller, the eye would be smaller. So let's turn that off and let's try that. Just make it a smaller eyeball. We'll see what happens. Wonder if I can do half closed eye. So I can see sitting around as an old man sitting here in front of my computer for hours at a time, making it, no, so it won't match the other eye. I can't tell it to match, match the other eye. Oh, hey, we're getting close. But I could make the other eye, I could do them both at the same time and they look pretty realistic. Oh, okay. Okay, so many people may know one of my business partners. His name's Ron Lake. Yeah, squinting eye would be good. So I had to pull up a picture of Ron. He's on vacation, so I don't think he's on the call. If he is, I'll be hearing him screaming here any moment now. So I want to make him have red hair. Yeah, that's a good look for my man Ron. Yes. Yes. But I mean, really, how realistic does that look? I'm gonna print one of these and hang it up at the gallery so when he shows up, he'll just see it and he'll just freak out. So oops. Oh. So again, our variations are hang on forever. So we can try them out. Oof. Nah, I can't do that to him. But we can have these variations hang on forever and try them, all different ways. If we want to put, let's just select this and let's type in leather jacket, see what happens. How crazy is that? Our different variations. You know the political operatives are going to be putting Nazi jackets on everybody, and and you can't tell he's not wearing a leather jacket. I mean, the sad reality of it is that as of now, you cannot believe any photo you see. You can't believe any photo you see, which creates a quandary for some people. Somebody mentioned earlier are journalists and editorial. Hopefully they never even know about it. When I was a photojournalist, we wouldn't even thought of, wouldn't even entered our mind to do this, to work with this at all on anything, no matter what. It just wouldn't have done it. Will they now? Some will, not many, I hope. And I've been asking customers at my gallery about it. I show them some samples and say, would you buy a photo hanging on the wall, knowing that the base photo is mine, but I altered it heavily with AI? And it's interesting that about half the people say, yeah, I would buy it because all I care about is the end image. And some people say no, because what I'm buying partly is the photographer's craft. And that's my quandary too. So like I mentioned earlier, I can't use this and sell them yet. When I can, will I? I don't know. I don't know. I do know that if I do, I will, I have wall tags by every photo, and it will say on there, AI generated or manipulated or something and spell out what's been changed, because I don't want people to look at every photo I ever shot and say, oh, he didn't really do that. He wasn't really there. You know, there weren't really penguins walking in front of that waterfall in Iceland. You know, he doesn't really, you know, I don't want that. And so, you know, for me, the problem is, you know, pictures are, you know, have impact. And it is a different argument than before, because I mean, I could have spent hours and hours putting red hair and a leather jacket on Ron. I can do it in 20 seconds now. You know, so it is a game changer in that anybody can do it. You know, you don't have to have any skills to change his hair color and put a leather jacket on him or put a tuxedo on him. All you need to do is be able to think of it, you know. And so it becomes that that whole, you know, what are people, you know, in my business, what are people buying? Are they buying the end product, or are they buying a Loren creation? And you know, a lot of industries, you know, I've read that, and I believe this, that the people who create logos are going to be they're going to be out of existence, because the Firefly version of, which is what Adobe first came out with as AI, will create logos. You just type in what you want, and it'll give you an infinite number of versions of logos. And you know, you select the color, you select the palette and what you want in it, and it'll boom, create it in seconds. You don't have to have any skill to do it. And that is the problem for me, is it is taking the skill out of it, and it's using other people's skills, and especially the fully generative AI is using other people's skills to create a photo that doesn't exist. So that's going to be a debate forever of what it is, you know, how it should be used, how it can be used. You know, I up to this point, I've been manipulating my photos, but I can just create a blank screen, and I selected the bottom, and I can tell it to make green grass with a path. And I can use this to now totally create photos. And I'm almost hesitant to call them photos now. Create images. Let's see which one we like the best. That's pretty weird. Well, let's just go with that. So now I'm going to select the top, and let's put in rolling hills with clouds and mist. I don't love that grass. I would have had it create another one, but we'll just do this. I don't like that one either. There we go. Okay. So I think we need to have right there old red barn. So unlike the other AI programs where you would type all this into one command, let's see which barn we like better here. Oh, let's go with that one. This one with Photoshop, I can build and build and build and create an image. You know, I can have some cows laying down. So if you, so a question on there, if you just remove an object, can you use that photo commercially? Not, no, not if you're using the beta version of Photoshop. Nothing you do with the beta, you can can you sell? Let's go with it. Okay, let's create a pond over here in the corner. So you can see that you can build a photo, or I'm not going to call it a photo, I'm going to call it an image. What am I doing? Pond with rippled water. So you can build an image, and if you don't like one of the elements, you just regenerate and it'll put in another one, it'll put in another one, and it'll put in another one. I'm wondering, for every photo sold, it'll be necessary to show your edits. Absolutely not. I don't think that will be for a minute. Didn't like what I put in there. Let's make it a lake. See what that does. You know, there are some of the big companies trying to put a tag on things that it's not liking this at all. Huh, interesting. Trying to put a tag on things that is embedded in the image that says it's AI generated, but you know, let's just do a simple lake. But you know, there's gonna be ways to bust that, just like, you know, you put a watermark on a photo now, and even before this, why am I getting all these weird things? Am I on the wrong layer? Let me try that. Let's turn that off. You know, even before the AI version, if you put a watermark on a photo, I can take it off about as fast as you put it on. And with this, it's even crazier. I don't know. I'm doing something. I got it all screwed up here, so we'll skip that. But you can see now you can build an image, just adding, you know, if you want to have some let's have some geese walking across. We could have some flying in the sky. We need something up there. We should have put some geese up there. But you know, I'm able to just build and build and build and put as many layers and many elements as I want. And if I don't like them, I regenerate it, regenerate it, regenerate it. Those are big gooses. I want a lot of them. I wonder if I can tell it to have 10 geese. I don't know. I don't know if it can count. We'll find out.
Hey, Loren,
Yes.
I wonder if you couldn't get the pond or the water body because Adobe Stock might not have enough visuals that would suit that particular composition. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Those are big geese. Yeah. I put ponds in other things. So yeah. It might be because I'm trying to put that on top of a doubly generated layer. I don't know, but it should work. I didn't get 10 geese. I only got 3. They're too big. But you can see how you know how easy it is just to create things, and if you want to add objects, it is just a matter of whatever you want to, you know, whatever you can come up with. So any more questions at this point? Anybody have any thoughts on whether or not this is good or bad? Love to hear that discussion.
Am I allowed
So
to talk?
contrast this with post-processing where we're usually cloning things out or adjusting things.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
For some reason, I've never had a problem taking something out. I don't like putting anything, and usually won't put anything in.
Yeah, that's been my basis too, is removing things. And not putting things in that don't belong.
That's how I feel about it too.
But getting rid of that crowd is amazing. I mean, that I probably would do.
Yeah, because it's, you know, for me is, it does look like that, just at the moment of time where I made that picture, it didn't, but if I waited longer, you know. A comment that Midjourney does better job than Photoshop in most cases. But it doesn't give you the power to build things like this does. And it you know, I've played with that, not as much as I played with this, but in whoever wrote that Midjourney, can you bring in your own photos to it, or is it purely off of things that have been stolen from the internet? Because I know they don't license. Darla,
Lauren,
do you know?
for like example, on the red barn, that's a layer. Can you like play with the saturation and the vibrance if you want to?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Darla, are you still with us? Do you know if Midjourney does lets you use your own photos as a basis, or it's purely generated?
That I don't know. I didn't get to play with it much because it was free for a while and then they took it away because too many people were making memes that abused, you know, like the Pope with the fluffy jacket that caused a stir, and some other political ones that caused the stir. So they made it subscription. So I didn't subscribe, but yeah, I mean, it is so realistic. It's like a photograph. I mean, some
Right.
of these that Photoshop is doing, they're kind of cartoony looking to me,
Yeah.
maybe a little blurry, but Midjourney, everything that I saw it generate was perfect.
Yeah. Because it is using a much larger, it's using billions of photos that it is stolen off the internet versus
Yeah.
the hundreds of thousands that Adobe has licensed. And so that is part of the, you know, part of the problem for Adobe is they're being nicer, in my view, being legal, but they get beat up for it because they don't have as much data to work off of. So
But I read they were using their subscribers' photos though that are stored in their cloud.
no, they're only using what's in Adobe stock. If you put it in their stock, but if you store stuff in the cloud, no, they're not using unauthorized photos.
Well, that's good.
Yes. Okay. Other thoughts, questions, concerns? So I do have a Photoshop class coming up called Photoshop for Photographers, which we are going into. We'll not be doing AI stuff, just regular mess around with things in Photoshop to improve your photos. And so that's coming up next month. I forgot the date already. But we're going into the things in Photoshop that photographers need, and we're not going to look at all that other stuff that we don't need. And so basically the basics of Photoshop for photographers. So if you're needing a spruce up or a startup on Photoshop, that could be fun. Okay, any other questions, thoughts?
When's the next critique night?
First Monday or first Tuesday of August.
Look forward to that.
It's on the meetup, yeah. Okay, other questions? Thank you very much, folks. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you, Lauren.